I love this so much. Okay. Hi, everyone. It's so nice to see you today. Welcome to the Aliveness Revolution Podcast. My name is Val
Woohoo!
and I'm here with the most fabulous Charlie Garnham. And this podcast, for those of you that don't know, it's a conversation, essentially. We believe that real aliveness isn't found, and it's something that we generate, we create from our inner world to our outer world. And if this is your first episode, welcome. We have a few episodes. This is episode number 4, so we have a few for you to check back in on if you really enjoy what you're hearing today. And also, for those of you that have come before and watched us before, thank you so much for being a part of this conscious revolution. Right? This is where we talk about honesty and what it actually takes to feel good in life, right? To feel good in our body and in our senses and in ourselves. So if you like what you hear, please subscribe and stay updated on when we are offering different things. We do have this weekly. And if you ever want to join live, there is a registration that you can come and actually be a part of the conversation. So excited because as we're coming to the table just ultimately talking about what's occurring in our own lives. And that's what's so beautiful because we're so passionate about it. We're so passionate about what we're experiencing, and we're both so committed. I'm going to turn this up a little bit. We're both so committed to this work that we're doing, and we love to come together in our own little spiritual playground and talk about it and see what we can uncover. And today we're talking about something that we've witnessed not only in our own lives currently, and in the lives of the other people that we're working with, or even our friends. And it's about going after your desires, right? Something you prefer, something that you want. And what actually happens the moment you start moving toward what you want, and the things that might get in the way that are common, and what we can do about it. So that's where we're going, and that's what we're excited about.
Yeah, amazing. And, like we are doing this podcast because, Val and I, we will, get on Zoom and we will have these conversations with each other. So really what we're doing is just making them public, and we are inviting you along for the journey. And you know what? The journey isn't always smooth. It's not, and that's life. That's being a human. So we love to have these conversations because actually a lot of what we're going to talk about today is contrast, and kind of being in that contrast of like, well, I really want this, but then, I also feel like this over here. And actually you can feel like both of them at the same time, for sure. So yeah, like going back to desires, I'm sure that between us, we've got quite a few stories about this, but for me, the sudden instinct, the sudden sort of like moment of, oh, I really desire this. I really want to do this. I really want to achieve this, whatever that desire might be. You kind of have this moment and then you start moving towards it. But then a whole raft of things is going to happen to you. And I'm sure, that everybody, has had a similar experience whereby different things will start, happening all at once. It might be on the positive side. It might be little moments of magic that appear that go, yes, I'm supposed to do this. Yes, I'm supposed to do this. And then things start moving and it feels amazing. And you just start to feel alive in your body. But then on the other
Go ahead.
yeah. Well, on the other side of things, it's like, well, actually this can happen and this can happen, and like things can knock you back, or, however you want to describe it, the fear might come in, the resistance might come in your body. And we just want to acknowledge that, this is completely normal and it happens to all of us. And I'm sure, Val, you've got, sort of like stories or experiences of this yourself.
Well, I mean, there's a few things that you said, because I think it's a valid point to bring up, understanding that we're all on our own journey. And some people actually may not experience this. Some people may not. They might just literally be able to be in the flow, to just be able to surrender and go, I just, live in, maybe because they just feel a greater sense of trust in life and safety in themselves and safety in life. Where other people, it's automatically in that moment of excitement, swoosh in come all the thinking of fears, right? And that none of that is a problem. And it's that acknowledgement of going, okay, because the mind goes, it oftentimes in that moment, it's not really going to what am I going to gain? because it is going to, how might things be better? Simultaneously, the other thing comes in that goes, what am I going to lose? What am I going to have to let go of? What is going to change? What's going to feel uncomfortable? And all of a sudden, like what I experience is that most people stall out right at the point of actually going after it, not before. And when I say stall out, like for me, the way that I experience it is very much, I'm very body oriented. That's my authority, and that's what it speaks to me. And so what I notice is that I can shift my thinking around something. Like this is what I mean. I'm so passionately excited about this because I'm like tremendously expanding. I just went on an extraordinary trip. It was amazing. I met so many wonderful people. It was also extraordinarily challenging in so many ways. And the growth that was occurring was amazing. And I just felt so alive. I felt so just like loved by life, and I could really receive it and everything. And I was seeing possibility, and I was having all these dreams unlock, and like I was like, oh my God, this is going to happen. And seeing support show up in ways that it never have, and everything it has, and just things are like popping. And I come home and I could just feel this contraction, this tightening, this uncomfortable feeling of like, and I just found myself like this resistance coming up, and I found myself for, I would say, a solid day or two. Day for sure was heavy. Second day it was heavier. Going through it, and the difference of the who I be now compared to the old version of me was meeting that resistance with a lot more care, with a lot more gentleness, with a lot more calmness, because I knew in that moment it was just this little part of me that didn't believe that she gets to be that happy. She gets to be that magical. She gets to enjoy life that much. And I think that that's something that it's worth talking about, because what's happening in those moments, right? And then how do we shift?
Totally.
What comes up for you, Shar?
So I definitely had something like a little bit similar this year, actually. And it's funny because I didn't actually end up moving towards what I truly desired, but I did get a lot of other sort of like transformations and things happening as well. So like, this is the thing with your desires and like what you want is like, sometimes it isn't actually what you want, or it might be like a stepping stone towards then finding exactly what you want. And for me, it was in a really big desire to pivot in my business, like to go and work with slightly different people, essentially. And I remember I had this idea, and obviously I've been talking to like loads of people about it, like our coach, and then like in our mastermind and all this stuff. And I was even doing market research, getting all the, the right language in place and everything. And I kept going forward on it and moving forward. And that was amazing, like sales pages and like, marketing plans and all that sort of stuff. And then I just kept retreating right back. I was like, no, I want to stay where I am. I want to do my little human design readings, and I want to do this and do that. And then all of a sudden I like need to move forward again. And like I said, I didn't actually end up going forward on that particular bit, on that particular idea and that pivot. But what I did do is it gave me the grounds to understand what I did actually genuinely really want, for sure.
What I hear is you were resisting yourself in that process. You were was there much resistance with yourself in the process? And if so, how did it show up?
There was definitely resistance. Yeah, definitely resistance. So, like the ego mind comes in and it goes, I don't think you can do this. It was literally, like saying that.
Okay, so you hear it through your thoughts, your thinking, the resistance. Okay, cool.
Yeah, for sure. And, like you can lovingly just bring your ego mind to the table and just say, yeah, you're not right. I'm going to dismiss you. Like, I'm just going to carry on because, this is what I just genuinely really want. But sometimes it's more than just a thought. It's like a bodily thing, like sometimes for me as a projector in human design, it's like my body just simply does not move towards something, and I just can't seem to make myself or force myself to do what I need to do, what I have planned, what I strategized in my, ego mind and my head. I can't force myself to do it. And that is when I know that something isn't quite right. And that's when a little bit of conscious awareness, a little bit of tweaking kind of ends up happening. And then the path is, instead of straight down here, the path is just a little bit over here instead, or just a little bit over to the left instead.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's like just collecting the breadcrumbs along the way and staying very present in your body so you can hear the information, the wisdom coming through.
Yeah.
It's interesting because something that I've also noticed in my life and as of late is the awareness that I'm excited and ready for something new to unfold, a new arrival,
Mm.
which would mean changing the what is in my life currently.
Mm.
It would mean changing certain things, potentially like my location, changing certain things where I wouldn't be, as much in a certain community, changing certain things. And so what I've discovered is that there's almost like, in the excitement of the possibility of what's coming, it's almost like there's a belief or an old system, an old pattern in me. The old version would be like, I have to make where I am wrong, and I have to look at the problems of what's frustrating me about this place in order to quote unquote justify, or in order to actually, be okay with or take the steps to get there, where there's so much pain where I am that I have to go. And I've just been really confronting that gently and going, actually, that doesn't have to be true. I can actually sit in both, because it's not about them being in competition. I've collected the information from here. This has served me up until some certain point, and it's been so remarkable. And it doesn't mean it has to necessarily entirely go away. So I want to be in the appreciation of the what is, knowing that something more is coming, in the unknown too, because everywhere is going to have its challenge. Everywhere, it's like, whether it's a physical thing or a business you're starting or a relationship, we want the challenge because that's where the growth is, if you will, right? I'm
Mm.
just seeing, like, I was like, wow, I don't have to. I just found myself like getting frustrated and annoyed with little things, like getting frustrated and annoyed. And I could feel myself like having a lot of story thinking about, like, oh, Mexico, and oh, the weather, and I was just like, that's not, first of all, those thoughts don't feel good. That doesn't feel like me. I'm not like, there's so much I love, and I don't really care. The sun comes out, the sun doesn't come out. Like, it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to choose happy. I know the joy is, I know that my choice to decide, I get to decide how I want to experience this moment. And it was like, I almost had to like pull myself over and go, hey, baby, you know what? I know. I know that it's uncomfortable. I know whatever. And I know you're excited about that. And like, y- it's like, we can be really, really happy with where we are, and we can be so excited about what's coming. And you're not doing a disservice to where you are. You're
Mhm.
not, negating how far you've come. You're not
Yeah.
being mean to anything. And it was like all of these things, like I'm being disloyal to myself or to these dreams that I had before, because now I'm going beyond those dreams. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, completely. And what comes up for me when you tell that story is that kind of like balance between certainty and uncertainty. Because when we have too much certainty, life becomes a little bit less alive, right? Because it's too, normal and structured and expected. Yeah. But then too much uncertainty, this is where the fear creeps in. This is where the unexpected happens. And, the worry starts coming in for some people. And then the resistance comes in for some people, and that can feel in your body as well as, your ego mind. And yeah, just, every single thing that you think or that you're going through right now, Val, it's just data, isn't it? It's just an
Data.
understanding.
And it's also learning how to be with myself differently, because if I've collected data and known that I've operated in some way, that I've met myself in this kind of experience, this is not my first rodeo, right? This is not the first time I've recreated something, started something new, decided on a dream, followed a dream. This is not
Manager.
right, exactly. And so in that, it's like, okay, yeah, what did I do before in the past that I found that I made it a suffer fest, that wasn't enjoyable, that I got in my own way, maybe that I sabotaged myself, whatever else. And I'm realizing, like, this is what I know this. It was about being in it, feeling it, experiencing it, even in the certain isness of my life that wasn't working. And I could sit here and I could tell you, a lot of
Mm.
things in the isness, the things that I ever created, already done, they're already created, that aren't working for what I'm creating next. If I
Mm.
spend time looking at that, I will only feel lack, I will feel stuck, I will feel contracted, and that's what I was experiencing. And then I started to really sit in and be it, and I'm like, okay, hold on a second. What do I know? What do I know? And I'm like, I know the sensations of gratitude are here. I know they're here. I know the sensations of like joy and possibility are here. I know. And it's like almost like that's why it's just like gratitude standing next to desire is much more expansive than gratitude that waits until the desire is fulfilled. Right? It's like being in the desire, in the gratitude now, in the goodness of the now, even in the stuff that's coming up, because again, those parts of me that are going, I'm scared. I want to meet those parts of me. I don't want to pretend they're not there. I don't want to dissociate from them.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Mhm.
And actually, like what you're talking about is it's a culmination of a journey, a lifelong journey, because you say, well, this happened to me at this time in my life, and this is how I dealt with it. Like in hindsight, this is what happened, and then you can go forward knowing that you don't have to repeat the same patterns. You can change, you can choose, you can come out of your story.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the growth happens, and that's where the aliveness happens. But if I think of like true desire, like what I really, really want in my life. I remember a time, it's about 10 years ago now, and I was deep into an affiliate marketing business. It was my first online business. And I was just like, I don't know what to do. I can't be a coach because I haven't coached before, all that sort of stuff. And I found this online affiliate marketing company based in Australia. And I went all in on it. After doing my investigation and all that sort of stuff, I went all in on it. And the concept of it was, if you do this, you can earn money and you can become a digital nomad and you can travel the world. Okay. So I thought that I wanted that desire because at that time, and I don't know whether it's still out there now, I don't follow these kind of people, but at the time it was like so cool to be a digital nomad, so cool to go traveling. And yes, I want to go traveling, but this person that was like, being, swept towards this desire, on the other side of things, I actually had a really stable life here in the UK. I was nearly just about to buy a business, a physical bricks and mortar business. I had a husband and a mortgage and pets and everything. So I was like trying to move towards this desire that I thought that I wanted because everybody on Instagram is saying, oh, it's amazing being a digital nomad. But I had something completely different actually in my 3D. And because those two didn't match, and there was not really at that time any way that they could have worked, that desire then ended up being, like melancholy and just the feeling of not being successful, essentially. And I think that moment really helped me to understand that I will never, ever create a desire or motivation for anything in my life unless it came from inside me, because that was an external thing that I thought that I wanted because of conditioning, because of social media, because of everything else. And I now know that my desires just will always come from inside me as well. And that was the other thing that I wanted to, bring in today.
Let me ask you a question about that, because I think it's such a lovely story. Out of the desire that you were, I know that you said it was coming from the external. Was there anything about that desire that you still feel is a little bit like alive in you? Just anything?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I love the world. I love different cultures. I love traveling. I love getting on an airplane. So there is that desire. It's just that what I was going for looked very different to what I actually would now create in my own life now. And what I desire now in terms of travel is it looks very, very different, but it's been created from my own internal desire and wants and everything rather than, somebody else's, idea of being a digital nomad.
So what I'm hearing is it's somewhat like the vehicle wasn't correct for you in that moment. The energy behind the initiation of the movement wasn't aligned with who you are. And in addition to that, there was almost like a little bit of a grieving of a desire you do have, yet it wasn't fully dead. It was just put on a shelf to revisit later. And now being able to do it from a more sense of like, like your own internal sense of safety and certainty within your own self about your ability and about the how to go about it. So when you create the vehicle, it's going to be more solid and steady, and like
Yeah.
behind it is going to, that's cool. That's so right.
Yeah.
I
And
love it.
it's going to land and it's going to happen. And it's like, it's so much easier to obtain like that when it's your internal, reality.
Well, what I love about it is like, it's not, the fact that we get pulled and we start to think like, I mean, because I love to dream. I love to have, and I'm an experimenter, I'm a 3-5, MG. So it's like, that said, it's also extraordinarily important to keep my feet on the ground and to collect data of not only seeing, what I've created up until this point, what my qualities are, da 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 da, da, and also really seeing like, is that, desire. And it's not necessarily going it around with logic, because logic can get me in my own way. I can all of a sudden pull away from a desire, but it's that feeling. It's like, oh, like, God, how would that make me feel? That would make me feel this and everything else like that. And I think that sometimes it's really important to remember that pushback that we're getting, that when we trip our upper limit, right? When we are like, part of us comes in and goes, I don't think I can do this, or we start to veer right when we really want to go left, right? It's important to know, just like, this is not a character flaw. It's a nervous system responding to more than it's used to holding. And that's why this is such a beautiful process, because we learn how to kind of like tune in and hold ourselves in the disruption. It's a disruption.
Yeah.
And it's that the now us needs to hold that part of ourselves and teach ourselves the new way, which hasn't been created yet. So it's going to take time. It's going to take attention. It's going to take our curiosity. It's going to take our space, our own space, like coming into our own selves. At least for me, like that's what I'm experiencing. So it's important to just remember that if you're going through this experience and you're noticing yourself like pushing back or anything like this, again, this is not a character flaw. If that's a common theme in your mind of something that's saying like, I can't do it, I'll never do it, or, that kind of success isn't for me, or my family can't be that wealthy, or anything else like that, like, you're worth the inquiry to sit with, like, is that yours? You know what I mean? Like, you did.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And, it's okay to still love what you already have as well. It's okay to know that you are successful and you have, everything that you have desired so far. And it's also okay to dream bigger and to go bigger. And, sometimes it's about, well, how do you cross that bridge in between, well, I'm successful and I've, got everything I want now, but I really desire more. How do you make that leap? How do you create the possibility that, the next step that you're going to do is going to be a step towards your new desire, while still also being very, very grateful for what you've already created and already had and the lessons you've already learned.
Yeah, I love that, because it's like, for me at least, being so mercurial, and I just think about the power of reframing, the power of shift of perspective. That's what A Course in Miracles says, is that miracle is a shift of perspective. So reframing that gap, reframing that from where you are to where you want to be, as it's generative. It's information about what you want. It's not proof that something wrong, and so that something's wrong. So sometimes when we're in that gap between having it and not having it, it's really useful to also get comfortable and familiar, to be in the tension and not feel like we have to relieve it immediately. Like, just, it's this too shall pass. Everything is temporary. I know that and then, like, acknowledging, like, even though I was in it, and I was really feeling it, and I was meeting myself and taking my medicine, doing what I needed to do. Did I need to journal? Did I need to move my body? Did I need to, cry out? Did I need to dance? Whatever. I just kind of let myself do whatever. I gave myself full permission to be messy and feel it and everything. And it's like the tension was still there, and it was how I was meeting myself in the tension that was the game changer, that allowed me to take that and be able to hone in on that shift perception. Because even though I was shifting my perspective in my thinking mind, if my body's not on board, it's not gonna be a part of the party. And in the totality of me in a human being, right? Yes, I have a thinking mind. I also have a body, a sensing body, an emotional body. And if my emotional body and my physical body and my sensing body are in the old story, and my brain's going, well, it's everything's working out for me, I know it is. That's only like, we're like this much in the pool, and pretending we're in all the way, like, woo, we're not. And I think it's okay to learn how to sit in the tension without running away.
Yeah. And I think, sometimes, the body is actually what manifestation teachers miss as well, isn't it? It's like, well, yeah, you can have what you want by like repeating your affirmations and scripting and doing everything that you want every single day. But if you miss out, the body and all of the wonderful things that you've just mentioned, it's not necessarily going to happen. And I love that, because I'm hearing so much recently, and obviously this is part of what we do together, Val, but also just, external from you. I'm just hearing so much, like, the mind is not separate from the body, but everybody, a lot of us think that it is, for sure. And I have for so long. bit long.
Yeah. And for you, the connection with your body, to hear that as your wisdom, how did that develop for you?
I definitely feel like the human design system had a really big part to play in that, like learning that I'm splenic authority for sure. And even just learning that, the human design system is actually a somatic system. You can make decisions with your body. A lot of people can. Everybody can if they want to. And I think just experimenting with understanding that I am highly intuitive and that my body knows and that I have this like really deep sense of understanding in my body. And yeah, literally just experimenting with that. And the experiment just keeps going on every single day, and I still get things wrong and I still get things right. And it's okay. It's, what life is. What
And
about you? How did you?
and is it ever really wrong? You know what I mean? In my world, I'm like,
Yeah,
this doesn't even exist, because it was all, again, more information, more data. Maybe it didn't feel
yeah,
good, right? Because we we hit ourselves against the wall, but we learned
yeah,
from it. It's like, okay, now I want to take that information and move forward, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. For me, and I don't know, I may have shared this before, but I just love this story so much. Gosh, I don't know, I was like in my early 30s or something, so it's quite a while ago. And I was getting shiatsu done, and I'm on the table, and with this great practitioner, and he was like, what are you sensing? And I was like, oh, I'm like seeing like a lotus flower in my heart. He's like, no, 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 what are you sensing? And I was like, when I'm feeling really, and I start to talk about what I'm feeling. He's like, no, 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 what are you sensing? And I was like, clearly I have no idea what sensing is. I have no idea, like none. And
Hmm.
he's like, so when you have like butterflies in your stomach, or like when you kind of want to speak but you can't because your throat feels closed. And I was like, oh. And then he's like, start paying attention to those natural urges or natural responses from your body.
Yeah, or energy
Yeah.
in,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I just started to pay attention, and I realized it was always happening. Now, add on top of that, the more I know about my chart, the more that I know that I'm a sacral being and my manifesting generator, the more I know about my astrological chart, my Mars is in Cancer, you know what I mean? All these things.
Mhm.
It's like I'm extraordinarily body oriented. In addition to that, I've always been an athlete, always been moving my body. Doesn't mean I was necessarily connected to it.
Connected.
And
Mm-hmm.
now it's like when I say to people, like, I'm like, yeah, I just have to see what my body's going to say if I'm going to go out, like if I'm going to go to the dance, or what I'm going to decide what I'm going to do. My body's going to tell me what I want to do tomorrow morning. It's like, that's so fun for me, but
Yeah.
sometimes that switch cheeses people's brain, and that's fine, because it's my body. Yet she's going to direct me in the sense of like, what's going to bring me the greatest joy, the greatest fulfillment, the greatest, whatever it is in that moment. And,
Yeah.
and I want to give, I don't want, like, it's like, yeah. So that's what's helped me, just to answer that question.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Amazing. So we've got, is there anything else that you want to go over, Val, before we wrap up? Because we do have some questions as well for our listeners to consider from today.
Yeah, I mean, really, no. I mean, when we're just looking at that, it's just understanding, kind of like that whole idea of desire and gratitude aren't opposites, right? They're the bridge between
Mm-hmm.
wanting what you're having, because and like that bridge is almost can be extraordinarily sacred. And it doesn't have to be a sign that anything's wrong. So it's useful to just be aware of what meaning we're giving it. And I think just like one question that I have is, if any of you, like, what's a desire you've been sitting with that you haven't fully gone after yet?
Mm-hmm.
And where have you gotten close to something you wanted, and then noticed yourself some way and somehow pulling back or getting in your own way? Those would be my questions.
Yeah.
What questions do you have? Because what questions have helped you?
Well, that last one, definitely. I I've definitely seen myself, getting close to something and then, pulling back on it for sure. And like I say, that can be that, you pull back, but then you take another step forward, and that step forward is actually in another direction, of slightly pivoted. My other question, I think, for everybody else is, can you love, even though you really want something new and big and you really desire it, can you still love where you are right now as well? but also knowing that you just have this big desire for the next thing as well. And like, can you meet yourself in both parts?
Yeah.
And then the last one, I think, is really all around just allowing yourself to get really familiar with all of these wonderful higher sort of like frequencies or feelings that you might have when you do think about that desire. Like, can you sort of like really sit with the joy that this new desire, the enthusiasm and, the magic and everything that, this is going to really bring you? And can you really feel and sense that in your body? And and can that help you to get to your desires? Because, might do.
Yeah, and I want to add something to that in the sense of like, if we know that where we're moving toward is bringing us a lot of joy and a lot of pleasure, the idea of it's bringing a lot of joy and a lot of pleasure, and maybe we'll experience more wealth, maybe we'll experience more connection, maybe we'll experience more love, maybe we'll experience more intimacy, maybe we'll experience more sensuality, whatever it is that excites us. I also go, what would it take to experience more of that now in general? Not just when we're thinking about that, like in life, like to be like, oh, let me just, this is so delicious. Look at the breeze. This morning, the breeze was coming in, the breeze in Mexico. And I just laid there and I was like, and I just felt it. And I was like, yes, and it's just like, if we get more comfortable and familiar, then when it's there, it's like, first of all, we're going to magnetize it to us that much faster. And second of all, when it's there, we're less likely to push it away because we're going to go, I know this and I get to feel this all the time. Why don't I get to feel that? Right.
Yeah. And by the way, you don't have to be as dramatic as Val. But you can be. You can do it your way.
Yeah. And it's a Leo solar eclipse. So why not? I'm like, you know what I mean? If that's what you're feeling and you want to be dramatic, it's like, don't hold back. If that's you, if that's in you, be as dramatic.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. It's so fun, right? Because it's like a child is like, and I'm like, that's that childlike part of me that's the stuff that's going to move me forward. It's not, not being childish and irresponsible. I'm allowing life to do what it does, which is called enliven me.
Yeah. The innocence of childlike joy.
Totally.
Love it.
Totally.
Beautiful.
What a fun conversation. What a fun conversation, especially have on this during this eclipse portal with all the juicy, juicy stuff occurring, especially happening in Leo. We have Jupiter in Leo, and then we have Venus in Libra, which is like so happy there. There's so much of life that's saying, yes, you get to be happy. Yes, keep going, and it's just like, right?
Yeah.
And doing it in a way, following our desire in a way that's good for us.
Yeah.
Right?
Beautiful.
Fun. Oh, I love you. I love hearing more and more about you whenever we have these connections. It's such a gift.
I know. We haven't always told each other these stories, but like I said at the beginning, this is about us getting together, having conversation, and you guys just get to, listen as well if you want to.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being a part of this conversation, everyone. You remember we hold this every Wednesday at 10 Pacific time, 1 Eastern time, about 25 to 30 minutes long. And just know that the next chapter, the 3-day course that we're running is September 9th is when the doors open, and September 11th and September 13th. So we have a day in between to digest the information, really put it in. And this is a space where we get to hold you as you move toward that next act of life that you are creating. And it is a place that you can really be supported so you can soar in life and you can experience those desires. So check out the link below and you can find out all the information there. And we'd love to have you be a part of that.
Yeah. We had some amazing transformations last time, so that is going to be incredible this time for sure, for us as well.
Yeah, always, right?
Yeah, for sure. Wow, beautiful, honey. I think we're pretty good. Is there any last words that you want to say?
That's it. Just full of gratitude.
That's it. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. And just, like for me, I think it's just remember, like it's your desire, nobody else's. You don't have to have the same desire as your partner or your friend or the person that you follow on Instagram. Just bring that desire from inside out and just take those steps.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much, everybody. Bye.